Okay, this is a quick guide just to show the disassembly of the centrifugal pump in order to replace the 3 screws that are used to retain the mounting plate onto the back of the pump. So this pump has been put together with a partial drive. It doesn't have the cable, but it has all of the rest of the components for video purposes. So anyway, the 2 screws, one located here in this notch on the side of the pump housing and one located here on the exact opposite side of the pump, are the 2 screws that need to be removed. So access will need to be had to those. And those are specific screws that have an O-ring seal. So anyway, then all that's required at that point, if the pump is fixed, is just to rotate the drive until it disengages from the latches on the mounting plate, and then it will slide off. Normally with a cable installed, the drive will also slide off. So then on the back side, with the drive removed, on the back side are the 3 screws that we will be replacing. These screws are M4 flathead screws that are 6 millimeters long. We're going to be replacing those with these 3 screws that are also M4. They're 16 millimeters long, and they're also flathead screws. There's plenty of room inside the housing for the 16 millimeter length. So what we're going to do for this is we're going to replace 1 screw at a time, and just remove that one. And these screws have been modified. I don't know how well that'll show up in the video, but we have a photograph we'll send along with it to have a shorter head length, and the back side has been machined down to the root diameter of the screw thread, so it actually can seat completely up against the pump housing, but it still has some of the taper. Anyway, that will be installed back into that same hole, and we're going to do these one at a time so that we don't unseal the pump housing. So it should minimize the mess if there is still fluid in the pump. Anyway, these screws are tightened. They're torqued to 6 inch-pounds of torque, and we'll do that with the same with the other 2. We'll remove these. It's not necessary to remove the gasket in order to replace the screws. So in this case, I'm not using a torque driver just for demonstration purposes, but these should be put into 6 inch-ounces of torque, or inch-pounds of torque, sorry. Okay, with those 3 screws replaced, inspect this gasket. If the gasket is still firmly attached all the way around and there are no issues with it, it can be used as it is, and the drive can simply be reinstalled. If it is necessary, either because it is no longer firmly attached or because there's wrinkles or damage to it, we are sending a set of these gaskets to replace that. It just has an adhesive backing on it, just to peel that off. Remove the old one, clean the surface, peel this off, and the new gasket will stick down right in its place, just like the old one was. We're also including vacuum grease, a number of packets of those that can be torn open. A very light coat is added to this surface. Helps with the seal, plus also helps with the installation. So when reinstalling this, as I said, the the drive itself will be retained by the cable that's plugged into it. But in the event that it comes out, when this goes back in, the only thing to be mindful of is there is a rib on the inside of the drive. It probably is hard to see in the video, but there's only one that extends all the way up to the surface. And in the side of the drive, there's a notch. Those two need to align, and then the drive will drop down inside. Anyway, so then with that, it's just necessary. There's a cutout in the side here where you can see the outlet port of the pump will go. That just slides in. The bayonets line up like so. And with the bayonets lined up with that gap, it just rotates. And when it's rotated all the way, the holes in the mounting plate will line up with the threaded bosses on the drive. And then the original two screws can simply be reinserted, and we'll provide the appropriate torque value for that in the accompanying information. Anyway, that is the entire process. Like I said, these two parts, the gasket and the vacuum grease, don't need to be used, but they will be provided in the event that either the gasket needs to be replaced, or it may be value to put a little bit of silicone grease on the existing gasket when reinstalling the drive.